we will kick off just with the NVIDIA app. So as I say, in last week's episode, I said it was coming out. It's come out of beta now. It's full release. I have installed it. I've had a look around it, had a play around with some of the points in it. So just to let you know, for those who didn't listen to last week's episode, so the NVIDIA app replaces GeForce Experience. It's been that one program that's essentially managed your drivers for years and years and years and years and years. But the idea of the new app was to bring in a whole multitude of different settings all within this one NVIDIA app. Now, currently, the display settings are still done in their own individual control panel, but they are being ported over later, so that is to come. But there was a couple of things that I've sort of looked into and I found pretty good. Firstly, it's incredibly easy to do a driver rollback, and it used to be a pain in the arse to roll back a driver. There is two really interesting things with it. That once you go into the new NVIDIA app, so when you go into your GeForce Experience today and you go to do an update, it will force you into the NVIDIA app. So your next update, if you open it up and click update, it will install the new NVIDIA app. Now, the only issue at the moment I see is that the rollback feature is currently, you can't see it. And that is because that the graphics drivers that you install, it's theoretically within the mind of the NVIDIA app, the first one that you've installed. So there isn't a rollback. Rollback should appear when the next driver gets released, and then that rollback option exists. Are
there any of those drivers available now? So an update on the drivers now, or is it to come?
So this is just the latest build, latest NVIDIA driver build. There's a couple of really interesting points I was wanting to bring up. Firstly, when now you can actually there's two different drivers. So you can select what are called game ready drivers, or you can select studio or creative drivers. And so those are for people who are either mainly dealing with gaming or mainly dealing with design, video, etc. Pain for me because I need to do both. So I'm currently just running on video. I've noticed a couple of errors with Adobe products with that rendering, but hopefully that should get fixed at some point. But essentially, that's quite a good thing that you can select exactly which driver you want to install. I think it's pretty good that you can now got a global settings. So you can to deal with in your high dynamic range, your cap frame rates if you want to do that. You can control the general settings for the PC, but then you can go into each game and change and limit FPS, for example, or you can turn on their super sampling to upgrade the graphics. There's a new function where you can effectively set the graphics to scale to render 4K using AI and downsample it for your monitor so the clarity looks better. It's a pretty good app. I think that by the time we have version 2, it'll be a lot more robust. It does take up a little bit more system resources.
GeForce Now?
So GeForce Now is a separate app completely.
So do you reckon they'll integrate them two together, or is GeForce Now just because that's available for Android and things?
Well, my only thought was I do think that there are a couple of apps that NVIDIA are currently running. So you've got NVIDIA Broadcast. So for those people who aren't aware, NVIDIA Broadcast, I've used it now for about 2 or 3 years, is a program that's an AI program that runs in the background. So if I try and clap my hands, you shouldn't be able to hear me clapping. You can put artificial backgrounds. This blur effect is done through NVIDIA Broadcast. It uses the CUDA cores and Tensor cores to do a lot more of the the learning rather than it being bound to the CPU. So there's some really good things. I've used NVIDIA Broadcast for a long time. I would like to see that get ported over at some point into the NVIDIA app. There's Chat RTX, which I haven't tested yet, but Chat RTX is essentially a ChatGPT model that runs locally on your machine that you can use to go and look at documents or photos or anything on your local system. So you could say, go and read this local document and tell me what you think, or go and find this and stuff like that. So I think that will eventually morph its way into this NVIDIA. Look, in my opinion, it doesn't make sense that there's a whole host of apps and there's just one master app that everyone in NVIDIA can work towards. But I would say that's GeForce Now will probably at some point come across, but it's definitely not at the moment.
Interesting. Yeah,
Uh,
good stuff.
yeah,
I think I'll be trying it out. Then I'll install it. I'll see if my drivers do update later and see if it lets me install the app.
Yeah, on the latest driver build for the RTX cards, it has it will ask you if you want to install the NVIDIA app, and you don't need to uninstall anything. It's just an update, and it will manage it all for you.
Yeah, that's good. I like that.
If there are any other questions about the app, pop them in the comments, and I will reply to them.